Welcome back to Euro Football Daily for this week's edition of Euro Transfer Talk. With football across the continent back in full swing, everyone is getting a little more serious, and offers for players are starting to roll in. If you have any leads, you can tweet me at Doogie Critchley or the EFD account with the hashtag TransferTalk. And without further ado, let's get into it. On this continental show, we actually start in Wolverhampton, as Wolves striker Raul Jimenez appears to be amongst Europe's most sought-after strikers. On Saturday, he netted his 14th Premier League goal of the campaign, becoming both Wolves and Mexico's top scorer in a single top-flight season in England. In total, he's found the net 23 times in 45 matches, with his season starting almost a year ago in the Europa League qualifying rounds. Following underwhelming spells at Atletico Madrid and Benfica, the 29-year-old has finally found his feet in the West Midlands, with 40 goals for the club since initially arriving on loan in 2018. And it looks like he might get a second bite at the cherry with Europe's elite, with Juventus, Man United and Real Madrid all reportedly interested in acquiring Jimenez's services. Liverpool were also interested in signing the striker, with Jurgen Klopp needing to seek an alternative to Chelsea-bound Timo Werner. With depth behind the front three of Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah and Sadio Mane an issue, Jimenez was listed as a potential recruit. However, Klopp believes he would be too expensive for a rotation player. The most interesting rumour though comes out of Turin, with Juventus reportedly willing to offer 2 players plus cash for Wolves' record signing. With the Europa League side holding out for £50 million, Federico Bernardeschi and Daniele Rugani could be thrown in to sweeten the deal. As it happens, Wolves did try to sign the 25-year-old centre-back Rugani last summer, but had their advances rejected by the old lady. As for Bernardeschi, the winger has struggled for regular game time with just 26 appearances in all competitions this season, more than half of which have come from the bench. But Juventus and Wolves fans, we want to hear from you. Would this be a good deal for either side? And the Liverpool faithful, is it the right decision to pass on Raul Jimenez? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Before we move on to our next section, just a quick reminder to subscribe to Euro Football Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss a transfer talk. Now onto a player that Juventus look far more likely to bring in, and it may be a surprise. Arta cost Barcelona an initial €31 million when they signed him from Gremio 2 years ago, but it seems his time may already be up at the Camp Nou. An injury may have hampered his season, but he's only managed 13 starts in La Liga this campaign. And since the football got back underway in Spain, he started just 1 of the 3 matches for the Blaugrana. Juve and Barca reportedly came close to a deal recently, but Arthur dug his heels in and refused to leave. But after discussions with the club management regarding his playing time, is opening up to a move from the top of La Liga to the top of Serie A. But the fee the Bianconeri are going to pay? Miralem Pjanic and a bit of cash. The Catalans value their Brazilian midfielder at €80 million, while Juve value his Bosnian counterpart at €70 million. Meaning that Barcelona want the deficit covered. And it needs to be done quickly, as the two sides are anxious to complete any deal before the end of June, just a week away, in order to balance their books. Arta is reportedly also sold by Juventus willing to increase his wage 2.5 times, up to around €5 million a season. As for Pjanic, there's no doubt Barca can cover his salary, but he would once again be another odd transfer, bringing in a 30-year-old to replace a 23-year-old Arthur. As always, we want to hear from you though. Can you make sense of this potential transfer? Let us know in the comments. One long-term target of Barcelona is Lautaro Martinez, who has been firmly on their radar for 12 months now. Joining Inter Milan from Racing Club for €23 million back in 2018, the 22-year-old sat out for a season behind Mauro Icardi, before he threw a tantrum last summer and got his move to PSG. This season under Antonio Conte and alongside Romelu Lukaku, there's no doubting the Argentine has emerged as one of the continent's brightest talents. Already with more caps and goals for his country than his compatriot Icardi, Martinez has been going at better than a goal every other game this campaign, with 17 in 33 matches in all competitions, including the decisive goal in Inter's 2-1 victory over Sampdoria on Sunday. So it's no surprise Barcelona are in pursuit, something that has now been confirmed by the Nerazzurri themselves. Club chief Beppe Marotta told Sky Sports Italia just that, before adding that Martinez has not expressed any desire to leave the San Siro, and with Inter not in the business of selling their best players, they have no reason to entertain any offers for the attacker. On top of that, Martinez's deal runs until 2023, so there is no immediate concern with trying to keep him in Milan either. Regardless, we don't think this is the last you will hear of this rumour. It could go on for a few years yet. And whilst Inter aren't in the business of selling, they're certainly in the business of buying. So, in typical Antonio Conte/Inter Milan fashion, they're eyeing a Premier League fullback who has recently turned the wrong side of 30. Kyle Walker may have only hit the milestone last month, but recent events in the fullback's life makes the Italians feel they can persuade him to move abroad. The right-back has experienced a trying lockdown period in England, having made headlines twice for flouting the rules. And Conte believes he can tempt Walker to Italy with the promise of a fresh start away from the media spotlight. But he shouldn't start packing his bags just yet, as Pep Guardiola wants to keep the 48-capped international in his squad at the Etihad. Instead, the Spaniard is anticipating having to cut his losses on last summer's £60 million acquisition of João Cancelo, with the Portuguese international having featured in less than a third of City's possible minutes this campaign. Maybe it would make more sense for Inter to make a move for him instead. After all, Cancelo was named in the Serie A Team of the Year after a year on loan with the Nerazzurri back in 17-18. It does, however, look like one 30-year-old defender will be making the move from Manchester to Serie A. Chris Smalling has spent this season on loan with Roma and has surprised everybody back home with his performances. The Englishman has been amongst the Giallorossi's top players this campaign, with 21 appearances at the Stadio Olimpico and a team-high 2 interceptions a game. Well, after months of back and forth between Roma and his parent club Man United, it looks like the two have finally come to an agreement. The Old Trafford side couldn't get Roma to bite on their £22 million valuation of the centre-back, who was reportedly on Arsenal's shortlist too. But now Smalling looks set to spend another season on loan in the Italian capital, before an obligation to buy in the range of £50 million next summer. Capped 31 times by the Three Lions, the former Fulham player certainly seems to be enjoying life on the continent. But we want to hear from you guys. Are Man United right to let Chris Smalling leave the club permanently? Get your thoughts in the comments. We round off this week's Euro transfer talk with the latest on Mesut Ozil. After not being in the squad for the Man City match last week and remaining on the bench for the defeat against Brighton, fresh doubt has been cast over his future in North London. Most clubs balk at his £350,000 a week wages, and understandably so. But one club have come up with a way to fund the deal. The board at Turkish club Fenerbahce are coming up with a crowdfunding campaign that would see fans attempt to raise £3 million for the signing of the World Cup winner, with the club paying the rest. Ozil is a Fener fan and has promised his mother he will one day play for the club, so maybe this scheme isn't as far-fetched as you might think. However, he has also said he intends to see out his Arsenal contract through to the end, which is next summer. Do you guys think this will work for Fenerbahce? Let us know in the comments. So guys, that was Euro transfer talk for another week. Let me know what you guys thought of the rundown, whether we missed out any stories and which ones you can see actually happening. Let us know in the comments down below. As I said earlier, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!